On every rig, there's always someone that thinks he knows it all. Like this guy. He can hear the alarm, but he doesn't think there is a problem. He's wrong. There is a problem, a serious problem. It's called hydrogen sulfide gas, or H2S. It's also known as the silent killer. In this program, we will look at where hydrogen sulfide comes from, what are the properties of hydrogen sulfide, how it may affect you, and perhaps most importantly, what to do if hydrogen sulfide is detected.
Hydrogen sulfide is known by many different names. H2S, its chemical symbol, sour gas, sulfurated hydrogen, and rotten egg gas. No matter what it's called, H2S will kill you, and quickly. H2S is a highly toxic gas, formed by the decomposition of organic animal or vegetable matter by bacteria. In this rock formation, known as a reservoir, pockets of natural gas, oil and salt water have been trapped. Looking even closer, you can see the gas, oil and water in the openings of spaces between the individual grains making up the rock. Sometimes the poisonous H2S will mix with the natural gas, oil or water in these spaces. If such a zone is penetrated when we're drilling, the H2S may be circulated back to the surface in the drilling fluid. When the drilling fluid containing H2S gas reaches the surface, there are several places on the rig where H2S may be detected. For example, the diverter opening, the mud return line, the shale shakers, the mud tanks or pit room, the drill floor, the pump room, each leg or column of the rig, the change room, each level of the quarters, the motor room, the sack room, the spider deck, and under the main deck itself. When you think about it, that's pretty much the entire rig. H2S is an extremely dangerous gas. It has a number of different properties that make it very difficult to deal with. H2S is colourless or transparent, making it impossible to detect by sight. In small amounts, H2S stinks. Many people say it smells a lot like rotten eggs. However, you can't depend on your sense of smell for detection. The trouble is, your olfactory nerve, the nerve that allows you to smell, can be deadened by H2S. You might be able to smell the gas for a while and then smell nothing. As a result, you could think the problem has passed, when in fact it hasn't. You will still be in danger. H2S is heavier than air, approximately 19% heavier. This causes the gas to settle in low-lying areas or enclosed spaces with little or no ventilation. H2S is highly corrosive to certain metals and can cause what is known as hydrogen sulfide stress cracking. Eventually, this will lead to the failure of the metal involved. H2S is flammable. Usually it will burn with a blue flame. When it burns, it produces another highly toxic substance known as sulfur dioxide, or SO2. SO2 can be just as dangerous as H2S. When a person breathes in H2S, it goes directly through the lungs and into the bloodstream. To protect itself, the body oxidizes or breaks down the H2S as rapidly as possible into a harmless compound. But if that person breathes in so much that the body can't oxidize it all, the H2S builds up in the blood and that individual becomes poisoned. The nerve centers in the brain which control breathing are paralyzed. The lungs stop working and the person is asphyxiated. The way H2S affects you depends on 3 factors. 1. Duration, the length of time the individual is exposed. 2. Intensity, how much dosage or concentration the individual has been exposed to. 3. Individual susceptibility, the individual's actual physiological makeup. How does the intensity of the gas affect you? Well, H2S at low concentration may cause irritation of eyes, nose and throat, along with some vomiting. At a moderate concentration, H2S may cause headaches, dizziness, nausea, vomiting and coughing, and even loss of balance. At a high concentration, a loss of consciousness and death will result unless the victim is moved to fresh air and given first aid immediately. This is a toxicity table used to summarize the physical effects of hydrogen sulfide on humans. The amount or concentration is given in parts per million, abbreviated as ppm. When there's 10 parts of HTS per million parts of air, there is an obvious and unpleasant odor. Actually, you can smell H2S in concentrations a good deal less than 10 ppm. The table also shows that at 20 ppm you're safe for 8 hours of exposure. At 100 ppm, H2S kills your sense of smell in 3 to 15 minutes and may sting your eyes and throat. Also, long-term exposure to these concentrations may knock you unconscious and lead to death. At 500 ppm, dizziness will occur. Breathing will stop in a few minutes, causing the victim to need prompt artificial respiration to restore breathing. At 700 ppm, a person will become unconscious and death will result if not rescued promptly. At 1000 ppm, a person becomes unconscious immediately and will die within minutes if not rescued. H2S has a non-cumulative effect on humans. That is, H2S does not accumulate in the body. Repeated exposure to small amounts of this gas should not result in adverse physical effects if your body has time to break down the H2S. On most rigs, an automatic gas detection system will be located in the control room and connected to sensors placed throughout the rig. The sensors are positioned at such places as the diverter, shale shakers, mud pit, drill floor, and other points where H2S may occur. If H2S is detected, the sensors trigger both audible and visible alarms, informing everyone on board of the danger. You must make sure that you understand the alarm systems in place on your rig. In addition to the automatic system, several types of handheld detectors are manufactured. The portable H2S monitor, or sniffer, as it is called, is designed to be used to check for H2S before starting work in a particular area. We said that H2S will tend to accumulate in low-lying areas, where it will not be dispersed by wind and air currents. It's important to remember that H2S can still be deadly in open areas, such as the drill floor. There are areas you can go to for safety. To get to a safe area, remember, the wind will help to disperse H2S. If you face into the wind and move away from the wellbore in the direction you're facing, you'll soon be out of danger. Always move upwind and away from the wellhead. windsocks and streamers on the rig will tell which direction the wind is blowing. Don't guess, know which direction to go. It could save your life. A briefing area is a designated safe place where personnel can assemble to receive instructions during an H2S emergency. Usually there are 2 briefing areas, so that one is always located upwind from the wellbore. On an offshore rig, the helideck is usually used because it's away from the wellbore. Once H2S has been detected, breathing apparatus may be required to provide a supply of safe, uncontaminated air. There are many different types of breathing apparatus available, but they can be divided into 3 basic categories: escape units, work units, and rescue units. The escape unit has a small, self-contained air supply and is designed to give you enough air to reach a safe area in the event of an emergency. They are only to be used for escape purposes and cannot be reused. Next is the work unit. This particular unit allows you to continue working in an H2S environment. This unit has an air line running from the face mask to an air bottle stored nearby. Most units will also have an auxiliary self-contained air supply. Here the bottle is worn on the hip. The airline trails out behind the worker and up to the air bottle. Should the worker have to disconnect from the remote supply, the small bottle will provide him with enough air to get to a safe area. And finally, the rescue unit. Rescue units provide a self-contained supply of air carried in a bottle on your back. Most rescue units provide about 30 minutes of air, but the time may vary with the way you breathe and the work you're doing. The rescue unit gives a portable air supply and can be useful when carrying out rescue operations or when it isn't practical to use a work unit. Incidentally, a work unit can also be used to carry out rescue operations if a portable unit isn't handy. The unit on your rig may vary a little from the ones here, so take the time to learn how to use the one provided for you. You might think your tool pusher's really coming down hard on you for your long hair and sideburns. There's a good reason for this. Many breathing apparatus units can only work if a good seal is formed against your face. Having long hair, sideburns, or a beard will cause the mask to have an improper seal, allowing the H2S gas to enter the mask. So, if you work in a known H2S environment, keep your hair short, trim your sideburns, and shave your beard. If you have to wear glasses, check with your supervisor to make sure that you will be able to use the breathing apparatus. Important information about what to do in an emergency will be posted on the station bill. This includes the chain of command. This explains who will be in charge during an emergency. The various alarms and procedures will also be explained. Study this information carefully, as knowing the correct action to take during an emergency may save your life. Get into the practice of watching out for your co-workers at all times. Wherever possible, work in pairs and use the buddy system. If there is a sudden release of gas, these steps should be followed. First, don't panic. Hold your breath and put on your protective breathing equipment. Then, go to a designated area for further instructions. If you are designated as a member of the rescue team, you will probably be asked to go back and look for injured people. You shouldn't leave the briefing area until a head count has been made. Then you'll be assigned an area to check. Remember, don't leave the area until you're told to. You might also be listed as a missing person. If your rig doesn't have breathing equipment for everyone, find out first what briefing area to go to. Once there, further instructions will be given to you. While you're on your way to your briefing area, be on the lookout for co-workers who may have been overcome by the H2S. Remember where they are. When you get to the briefing area, tell whoever is in charge so they can get help to them. The most important step for you to remember is to always put your protective breathing equipment on before you try to help someone in distress. Otherwise, you could end up like this guy. A nice gesture, but dead just the same. Once your breathing apparatus is on, get to the victim as fast as possible and move him to a place where the air is safe to breathe. Seconds count. If you can bring an escape unit along with you for the victim, this may save his life. But do not delay. Your priorities should be to get your own breathing apparatus on and then get the victim to a safe area. If the victim is not breathing, artificial respiration should be given immediately. First, check the mouth for any obstructions. If you find anything, remove it carefully with your fingers. Then, tilt the victim's head back. Pull or push the jaw into a jutting out position. Now cover the victim's mouth with your mouth and pinch the nostrils shut. Blow 4 quick breaths to see if the passageway is clear. Then check to see if the victim has a pulse. If he does, continue mouth to mouth at a rate of about 1 every 5 seconds. In between each ventilation, turn your head so you can watch the chest rise and fall. Also, listen to the air escaping from the victim's mouth. Continue this until the victim has been revived. Then stay with the victim and treat for shock. If you get to a victim and you find he has no pulse, CPR must be administered immediately. First, give 4 quick breaths and then check for a pulse. If you find none, give 15 heart compressions to 2 ventilations. Like so. This is done if only one person is available to help. If 2 people are giving CPR, the rate is 5 compressions to 1 ventilation. Take the time to learn this procedure. It could save someone's life. Sometimes, due to the particular circumstances, artificial respiration isn't the best method to use on a person not breathing. Situations like this require the use of devices called resuscitators. These are not just breathing apparatus, they give artificial respiration automatically, gently forcing oxygen into the victim's lungs, helping him to breathe. There are several different types, ranging from automatic to manual types. On the rig, the medic and members of the rescue team will be trained to use this equipment. We've been talking about the effects of H2S on our #1 resource, you, the employee. But H2S can also cause damage to equipment used on the rig. Guidelines have been developed for the drilling of wells in areas where H2S may be encountered. These cover equipment such as BOPs, flanges, choke manifolds, degassers, flare lines, venting systems and drill pipe. This equipment should all meet standards set up for drilling in an H2S environment. If H2S comes in contact with the drill stem, there are ways of neutralizing the effects. One is with the use of scavengers or additives mixed in with the oil-based mud. Another way of neutralizing H2S is with ammonia hydroxide solution. This does not remove H2S completely and should only be used in emergencies. It will be up to the company man to decide what chemicals should be used to control H2S damage to equipment. Your main job is to remember what to do if H2S reaches your area. Remember, if H2S gas is encountered, hold your breath, and if breathing apparatus is available, get it on as fast as possible. Get to an upwind briefing area as soon as possible. If you see a downed man, get him to fresh air as quickly as you can, but only after you have put on your own breathing apparatus. H2S is deadly, but you can work safely around it if you have respect for it and if you take the training seriously. When it comes right down to it, the most important factor in H2S safety is you. You're the one who is responsible for applying the training you receive so that you and your fellow crew members can work safely in H2S country. Don't become a statistic of the silent killer.